this is Tim Brown, author of the book Uncommon Athletes, and on staff with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes here in Central Ohio. And I'm blessed to have with me today as our guest, Miss Amani Burke. Amani is a well-known name. The Burke name is a well-known name in Columbus, Ohio, but Amani has carved out a niche for herself, being an outstanding, going back to middle school, being a middle school champion, high school champion, and planning having a stellar career at Ohio University. So, Monty, welcome to the show.
Thank
How are
you.
you
Thank you
today?
so much for having me.
Good. Could you talk a little bit as we begin about being part of a basketball family? Uh, talk about that, being a part of. I know your brother's in the NBA and dad played, and how was that growing, being part of a basketball family?
Growing up, it's definitely been in the conversation more than 80% of the time. Basketball has truly, truly shaped who I am. It's given me a platform, and, having Trey as my brother, who we've literally grown up together, and watching him at Michigan, watching him in the league and then the D League and then back to the league, it's been a lot. A lot of people who at first didn't know who he was, and then when he would blow up, they started to know who he was, started to know who I was and who my family was, and it was very overwhelming at times because I always saw him as just my brother. I always saw him as just Trey, and we were that traditional bumping heads, little sister, big brother, and it was kind of weird, and it wasn't until I want to say my freshman year in high school that I realized, like, I have a basketball family. My dad played, his dad played, Trey played, I played, and we're all athletes. My mom ran track, my sister played volleyball. And so to know that, it kind of helped me when I played in AAU, when I played at school. It helped me to just kind of carry a certain swag about myself, and it helped me to go harder in practices. It helped me to go harder in games, and it definitely was a lot of pressure as well. It put pressure on me to perform and to be that role model, to be that leader, even though, I was in that stage where there was so much happening around me, my friends, people in my family, extended family, and I wanted to start, doing other stuff. I was like, I don't know if I want to continue to play basketball. As good as I was like, I don't know. I see my friends doing this and I want to do that. And, why did I have to be born into this basketball family, but it definitely has had its ups and downs. It definitely was good at times. I felt like I got some perks from it. And then there was times where I was just like, man, like, does he have to be in the league? Because I'm tired of hearing about him. Or do I have to go out here and play this game? Really? Do I have to go to this tournament this summer? I want to enjoy my summer. I'm still a teenager. I didn't want to give my life up to basketball. It felt like in a way I was chosen to play basketball, and I didn't like that. So at times.
I read when you were around 16, that's when that challenge really hit, where you were challenged about continuing to play the game and getting up, going those terms, as you said. What kept you going? What was that thing that kept you going?
Well, to be honest, I was told I couldn't quit. They said I'm not gonna. They said I just can't let you quit because we're gonna regret it too badly. And I think that's the most thing I'm appreciative for, is they didn't let me stop when I wanted to stop. They knew it was a bad idea. They knew it wasn't going to end like I thought it was going to end. I thought I was just going to find something else immediately and just go right into it. But I remember it was the summer before my junior year of high school, and I wasn't trying to play AAU. And I told my dad, like, I really just want to quit. And my granny had a talk with me. My mom had a talk with me. My dad had a talk with me. And I can't remember if this was the year that Trey talked to me, but I know a lot of people had conversations with me about what I can do with this game, or what it can do for me, how I can just use it. And I really wasn't trying to hear it, to be honest, Tim Brown. I was ready to just be done. I said, if I keep playing, maybe it'll end sooner than I think, or so, and I was just like, maybe it'll go good, maybe it won't, I don't know. But I just kind of had faith. I had to pray about it a lot, because there were times when I just absolutely hated going into practices or workouts. I felt like it had become a chore, it became a job. Um, like I said, in your teenage years, you don't want to feel that way. You want to enjoy something that you're doing, not getting paid for. You want to love it. You want to, as much as I was building relationships and, learning these life skills, these life lessons from my coaches, and just being a part of the team, it felt like I could be doing something else. It felt like I've been doing basketball my whole life. And look, I'm only like 16, and I'm like, I've been doing this my whole life. Can I do something else? But it was very, very worth it at the end. I never thought I would feel that way. I was so bent on just being done and trying something else in my life that I didn't even see this. But I'm actually happy that I stayed and I continued to play.
I appreciate your transparency. That's a good word for some young girls and just young athletes, period, particularly young ladies, who are kind of struggling. They feel like they're forced to play. They have to keep playing, and not seeing the end in mind,
Yeah.
The end game. That is definitely worth when you look back at those experiences, you kind of, I'm sure you're glad that you hung in there,
Yeah. And I wanted to share this too. I didn't have not one offer except from OU. I had a lot of teams making noise about my name and sending me mail and, reaching out by phone or text. But I went on an official visit to Cincinnati. I went on an official visit to OU. But I had interest from like Auburn, Minnesota. I'm pretty sure that's it. But there was also some smaller schools in Ohio. And looking back, I'm like, wow, OU actually was the team that gave me a chance. And so just being able to say that, and then I go and I was able to perform, and my college experience was the way it was. I feel like that's only from God. That's only God's doing.
Amen. Amen. Speaking of that, you had a great success throughout your high school career. How was that transition to college basketball for you?
It was tough. I felt like I was just thrown into the fire. I was just like, you just gotta, they told me you just gotta go out there and try to learn as fast as you can. Because I will say, I just recently watched the City League championship game between Eastmoor girls and Centennial girls. My sophomore or junior year, I believe it's my junior year. And we were so slow. all our passes were slow. We weren't trying to run and get the ball. And I'm looking like, this would not slide at OU. This wouldn't slide in college, period. And that's kind of like how it was. It was a lot faster. I had a lot more things to do. I had to get a planner and write out all my classes were and the times and the dates. And when all my assignments were due, I had to, learn a new offense that was completely different than anything I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, this is so overwhelming. I miss home, even though I'm an hour away. Right. But it wasn't a bad experience. It just was very fast paced and I had to learn quickly. I had to start learning in different ways. I couldn't keep my same basketball attitude that I had in high school. Definitely had to mature. But I played against and alongside some really good basketball players from where I'm from. So that was very interesting. As we mentioned about Kiki a little bit earlier, she was very tough to guard. And I usually had to start on defense with her. I couldn't just start on offense and try to do my thing on offense. I had to defend her. And all I'm going to say is she was much stronger than me, much shiftier than me. And she was clever. She had a clever game. She wasn't trying to do, just go right through me or go right past me. She would use a move to get me on the air or, get me too low or something. And it was just was good learning from her. She was a very good player to defend and just be alongside learning.
Right. Now, how did that help you when you became that senior, going through that experience? How did that help you?
It helped me a lot. She was more of a vocal leader, and I want to say I was more of a lead by example type of leader, which I know I could have been more vocal. But she helped me to see what it's supposed to look like as a senior leader and how you're supposed to run your team, how your team is supposed to operate with you on it. And I think that's why, and I also kind of felt that in my junior year. We had a great season my junior year. We won, I want to say 30 games.
Wow.
And that was a great year for us. A lot of leaders emerged from that team, just from us having the season we had and knowing what it took to have that season. And so just her and Monty Jenkins, Jasmine Weatherspoon, Taylor Agler. Her dad is actually a WNBA coach as well. Having that company definitely helped shape who I became as a basketball player. So very grateful for them as well.
Good, good. In the book, I talk about being being an unselfish player. You could have, and just following your career. I know you started out, you averaged 7 a game at OU, and the last 3 years at 13, and one game you set the record for 11 3-pointers. Which is still hard to imagine. But I said to say this is that obviously you could have averaged more points easily, could have taken more shots, but being that unselfish player, and that's always been your MO, is just helping others get better, because your assists went up every year. Talk to me about how being an unselfish player helps the team be more successful, helps the team be successful.
It becomes less about you and more about we. And I've never taken on the role that a lot of people kind of thought of me at the beginning. I think people saw me as, at the end of the game, if it's crunch time, give the ball to Amani Burke. But that was high school. And in high school, typically you're the best on your team. But when you go to college, everybody's just as good as you. Everybody's the best on their team in high school and college. And so you're playing with, the best of the best, but all on one team. And so you have to try not to clash with other people when they want to score or when they see an opening or, they have a thought in their head. Like if they have the ball in their hands, they're the ones that's about to make the play. And so I had to kind of step back and humble myself in a way to say, it's not always going to be you taking the last shot. It's not always going to be you taking a shot. It's going to be a couple possessions where you might not get the ball. And that really didn't sit well with me a couple times. And I had to just pray about it. I had to talk to my teammates about it, talk to my coaches, talk to my parents, and just figure out how I can flow in the offense and still feel like I'm actually doing something. I didn't want to make it all about me. Like, well, I didn't hit my average because, believe it or not, that's something that teammates get into it about, not passing the ball enough. And it's like, we are a team. If we won, that's all that matters. If somebody had a good game, pat them on the back, give them their cahoots when they do well. But also know, it's not just that person. It's the 5 of us that's on that floor that made that win happen and made that person have that performance. And so, it just being consistent is kind of what it was, but it was also just, doing whatever you have to do for us to win, because winning is more important than having a 30-point game and 10 assist game, and some players may not see it like that. And that's kind of like a something our generation has to get over. We see in the WNBA and in the NBA, the player who did well gets they're on ESPN. They're the ones that's being talked about. It's not necessarily the player who's running after loose balls and getting 11 rebounds. May not have no points, but got 11 rebounds in one night. You know, like that stuff is big too. That's just as important as somebody scoring 30 points, you know.
That's a good word for young athletes to realize that everybody has a role. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
important, to the team, to the success of the team. And being that unselfish player will help the team in success. As we continue to talk about basketball, you had a firsthand experience with COVID as your season kind of ended abruptly. You guys were at the MAC tournament in Cleveland. Take me back to that game, to that day, and what that experience was like.
So I'm gonna take you to the day before. So 24 hours before that, we had just beat Western Michigan, um, and they were a team who beat us by 1 point earlier in the season. So we had a lot of built up, emotion, and we were ready for that game. And I came out with 3 points in the first half. Second half, I had 17 points, but also me, my teammate Cece Hooks, my teammate Erica Johnson, we all had a heck of a game. Just sharing the ball, you know, a lot of steals were made, a lot of assists were made. Gabby Burris, she rebounded well for us. And so we were really excited coming out of that game because it was like the first time in a couple of games that we had seen we're starting to glue. We're gluing at the end of the season because it wasn't a whole lot of glue. And midway through, we were losing some games and just like falling apart a little bit. And so that game was like a confidence booster. And we were so ready for our next game, right? And the next day, we go to, I want to say, a meeting. Or no, we're going to the lobby so we could watch our boys play because the night before, our boys were like the only fans we had besides like our immediate families, and they carried us through that second quarter or that second half. I mean, they were loud, they were so explosive for us, and so we want to do the same thing for them. We hear that their game gets canceled, and we're like, canceled? So are they going to reschedule? Is it later in the day? We're not thinking anything of it. And we're in the lobby waiting for our bus to come, and we get told to go back upstairs to our coach's room, which he always gets like a big suite so we can all be in there and watch film. We go in there, and he sits us down, and he's real serious and kind of quiet, not saying much. And we're just kind of like, what is going on? And somebody saw on Twitter that they had canceled our tournament already, but only one of us had saw it. And then our coach confirmed that they canceled our tournament. And other tournaments were still going on. They hadn't canceled them yet, like the NCAA tournament. And so we were just like in shock, very, very much so in disbelief. I remember crying, and my coach just grabbed me and just like hugged me for a long time because it was surreal. I was just like, is this really happening? We actually had arrived in Cleveland a couple of days prior to that, and I remember them saying, we're not going to have cheerleaders, we're not going to have a band, we're not going to have fans. And we were just like, what type of tournament? Who can even play without all that stuff? That's so exciting. That's what makes it the tournament, the atmosphere. And we were just like, we had no idea that COVID was as serious as it was. We're not even taking it serious. We're just like, oh, they're going to cancel our tournament. No, they're not. Because there was actually a rumor that they had said that. And our coach was like, no, there's no way they're going to cancel our tournament. And so just the coincidence in that, not even coincidence, but just the irony of it all, like it was surreal. We literally went home that day too. We went back to our rooms, we packed our stuff up, and we got on a bus back to Athens. And it was such a weird time. A lot of our coaches weren't on the bus with us. We were just in the back talking like, I can't believe it. I mean, just in disbelief, complete shock. Nothing like that I've ever experienced before. And then for it to still be going on now, it's just like, wow, like this is something that is going to go down in history as one of the craziest things because it's a global pandemic. It's not just here, it's other countries, other nations. So yeah, I'm still processing and trying to understand like that part is over and I can't go back. I can't get another year and that's okay. I just have to move on. That's something that I'm still kind of swallowing, just being able to move on and accept that it happened and that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, that is the reality. But one thing that when people talk about you, they always talk about your faith and your family. And I think during this time, could you talk about how important your faith and your family is helping you deal with this, help you get through that experience, and even right now?
hmm Um, that's the most important thing to me is always God first and family second for me. Um, because without God, for one, I would have never even made it to OU. I wouldn't have performed in high school, gotten a full scholarship to go to OU. That would have never happened. And without my family and God, I wouldn't have been able to say I graduated 4 years, didn't take a break, didn't drop out, didn't quit basketball. You know, when I had so many times that I wanted to do that, so many thoughts about that, and they kind of just guided me through. They got me a car in 2017 so that I could drive back whenever I wanted. I didn't have to take the go bus. You know about the go bus.
Okay.
I was like, I got it. I got $13. I'm coming home. I'm
Yeah.
coming home. And they got me a car. You know, they would come visit me often. We're always at my games, even the away games. Sometimes they would come when they could. Um, they always sent me little care packages. I don't know if you know Greg and Dorsey Winbush.
Yeah, no, Greg. Yeah.
Yeah, they were so instrumental in my support as well. They would send me laundry stuff and bathroom stuff and snacks and just they would support and come to the game. So they're like a second family as well to me. And so just having that support and having somebody say, I'm proud of you, that you know, I'm proud and I just want you to know we still want you to keep going and we know you can and we have faith in you. That gave me faith. I'm like, okay, I can actually see myself finishing, even though it was 4 long years. When I look back, I'm like, wow, it's been 4 years already. I felt like I was just at Eastmoor. So faith and family are so important. And just, I wanted to say this too. My sophomore year was my toughest year. We had a very bad season. I remember I lived by myself. I had a single dorm. And so I was like at the top. I was like on the fourth floor. Nobody was really up there with me. A lot of my teammates were on the second floor. So I was kind of isolated mentally sometimes. And I remember we had workouts at like 7:30, and so I would have to get up at 6:30 sometimes and be walking in the dark, and I remember it would be cold and I would just be so upset. And the one thing that got me through those mornings was when I wake up, I immediately turn on some Bible promises
Mm.
on YouTube. If you look up Bible promises spoken, it gave me a different type of peace to around. Like I remember just being like, this is what I have to listen to every morning. Not no music, not no TV show, not a movie. No, I have to listen to this in the morning. It gets my mind right. It gets me ready for my workout. It gets me through the day when it's dark and cold outside. I feel like it's sunny. Like that was really what helped me. And so and also just praying immediately when I wake up helps me. I have a whole new attitude when I wake up, when I pray, because I've already spent that time with God. I've already talked to him, you know? And so, um, yeah, I get goosebumps talking about it because I wanted to quit so many times that year. And then when I figured out what I had to do to just get through it and I did it, it was just such a turnaround for me. And then that next year we had a great season, my junior year. So yeah, that's a story that is definitely I like to share that.
Mm, that's good. As we wrap up, this has been a great interview. Giving me some great insight and encouragement as well. What encouragement would you leave to a young lady who aspires to play at that next level? What word of encouragement would you give to them?
As cliche as it might sound, just don't quit. As hard as it gets, um, don't don't give up on something that you have in here, that you feel in your heart. Um, I know sometimes people are forced to give up something they love, whether they get injured or they get an illness or something, and God forbid that happens. But you know, don't quit solely off of you wanting to do something else or not wanting to continue that. If you're good at it, if you love it while you're in the game, like I did, I was passionate about playing games and I loved playing in the basketball games, but I didn't like working out, didn't like all the other stuff that came with being an athlete and playing basketball. I would say just keep going, because while it may get harder, it also gets easier at the same time. You start to find your niche, you start to see how you can navigate, and it becomes fun. Like that's another thing. You also have to try to make it fun. Find those people who are gonna support you, who are gonna, make you feel good about it and give you the right encouragement, and kind of stay away from the people who are not, who are encouraging you to do something that probably isn't the right choice. um but I would just say don't give up. Just from experience, I know, like, something good is going to come out of you not giving up. It's going to work out, it's going to be worth it. And I didn't think so, and you probably don't think so, but it definitely is. It definitely is sunshine at the end of the dark tunnel. And yeah.
That's good. I want to thank you for those words of encouragement and for your time. But also, I want to encourage you as well. I want you to know that God has a plan and a purpose for your life. That the Bible says this: all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord, are called according to His purpose. And you've been called for a purpose. I believe your spirit is just your sweet spirit is just contagious. Whatever room you walk in, people are encouraged by you, and I pray that God will continue to use you and continue to use you in a mighty way. So as you told them, I'm gonna tell you the same thing. Don't quit.
Right.
Hang
Man,
in there.
thank
Hang in
you.
there. Don't quit. Well, thanks for your time. And
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I loved this. The great questions. Really great questions.
thank
So,
you. All right. Be blessed. Have a great day.
all right. Thank you so much. You too.